joined by Lee Miller. How are you doing, Lee?
I'm good, thanks.
I'm just wanting to go back to the start, see what your early football memories would be.
All right, okay. Just playing with my brother out the back. Picked up, played with the BBs, played the boys club team, and then came up kind of through the youth system at Falkirk, training a Friday night, and then kind of went from there. Played in the youth team there, and then there was a reserves at the time. I had a 2-year YTS for 2 years pro, and then kind of went for there. Really got an opportunity really young, and just I was a midfielder actually. Funnily enough, coming through, Alec Totten gave me a chance. Said, "Big man, can you play up front?" There was a few suspensions, injuries. I said that I'll play anywhere. I think I played up front maybe a couple of times. Quite liked it, holding the ball up, flicking the ball on. Was quite aggressive in the air and stuff. So played up front and against Ross County. We won 4-2 at home. Get man of the match. Never scored, unfortunately, but never really looked back from then. And just got on with it. And I never kind of. It was strange because I was obviously the youngest player coming in. There was like some Mark Kerr in the team and Kevin McAllister, Crunchy, and I was never ever on the bench. I'd never been on the bench before that, and I was never on the bench after. I always started every game, which was surreal, if anything. But I just took my stride and just cracked on with it.
Once you get chucked up front, you're never going back to centre mid.
No.
No chance.
Once I started scoring a few goals, it was like, right, okay, here we go. And I loved the limelight and scoring the goals and setting up and being that focal player.
How did it come about that you initially got picked up by Falkirk? Was that a case of just playing?
Just playing boys club, yeah. Ian McIntyre was the head scout at the time at Falkirk. He's the kit man at Edinburgh City now, I think. He was at Dundee United for years. Great guy, a lot of time for him. And he just picked up a crop of players for different boys clubs, and we used to go up there on a Friday night up at the old AstroTurf at Brockville. It was at an ice rink. And there was a lot of boys for different teams and just merged together. And the best players out of that then obviously went into kind of full-time football and a YTS apprenticeship.
So, like you said there, you made your debut in 2001. But it was the year after that you really ended up kicking on, eh?
Yeah, it was a strange feeling because I was obviously playing my first professional season, and we ended up getting relegated, but not going down. We stayed up through other teams' misfortunes, and then the following season after that, we go on and win the league at a canter, and don't get promoted because the stadium's not up to criteria. So it was a kind of best of both worlds. We stayed up, then we should have get promoted, didn't, stayed down, and then it was kind of time for me to go after that and kind of try and carve a career for myself.
Can't forget your Young Player of the Year award as well. Can't believe it.
Aye, but that's the thing. You take everything and actually forget about half the things that's happened. Just way you take it in your stride. You don't think about it at the time, and like you've just won the league. You don't. It's my second season in professional football. I'm thinking, brilliant. This is great. I'm going to win everything, win something every season, and it's not like that. The longer you go on, and you miss those moments and the occasions. And no, I was lucky enough to play with a lot of good players and experienced pros like Owen Coyle, John Hughes, Kevin McAllister, loads of cracking characters. You get through the full Falkirk team, it was a cracking side we had. I still speak to him now, obviously having managed Falkirk. I've spoke to a lot of them within that period, so it was great.
You claim a lot of those older pros. Do you think that had a really positive impact on you, especially at that age?
Yeah, definitely. And Ian McCall was the manager at the time, and I had so much respect for him, and he was straight down with what he seen was what he got. Ian McCall, he was really harsh and sarcastic, but he had a sink or swim. He throws all sorts at you and challenges you, and he knows how to get the best out of his players. His man management is really good, and he brought the best out of me. And it was great. I really enjoyed that season. We had a really good squad, and we went from strength to strength. And that was the season we beat Hearts in the Cup 4-0. And that was one of the best atmospheres I've ever played in. I've played a lot of big stadiums, but Brockville that day, and it comes up in my Facebook memories and stuff every year as an anniversary, and I love it. I absolutely love watching it and looking back on it. I was just gutted I never scored that day. I had a crossbar, but not to worry.
So see when you said there about obviously he's won the league but couldn't go up because of the stadium criteria not being met.
Yeah.
Do you feel as if at that point you kind of thought you were ready for a step up in a way?
Yeah, well, we were losing all our best players. Owen Coyle and Ian McCall had left and went to Dundee United, Mark Kerr, and there was a few more had left, and I thought, I don't want to miss my opportunity here. I played really well. I felt I earned a move, albeit I loved it at Falkirk. My relationship with the fans was great. And I just felt it was time to move on and try and explore other avenues. And Bristol City came calling and went down there and got a bit of independence quite early. And I was very young and down there myself. And no, I enjoyed it. It was pretty far away from home, but that was a good experience.
What made you want to try England so early on at such a young age?
I don't know. I just had a feeling about it. I went down my agent and my mum at the time, and we all kind of thought like this is the right move. It felt right, albeit it was far away. It was only a short flight away, but no, it was good for me to go down and get my independence and stay myself out with my mum and dad. So it's like grow up very quickly, and about the hustle bustle, and the leagues down there they're constant games. You've been tested every single week, midweek, hardly training, and no, it was good. It was tiring, it was tough, but it was really good.
Good on your debut as well, eh? Not a bad way to start.
Yeah, brilliant start. Really. We played Notts County, and I never really followed football down in England. I just knew Bristol City was a big club. Went down there and the stadium was huge and the training ground and everything about it, the facilities and the crowd, the fans down there were incredible and they were great. And the first game of the season, it was piping hot and I scored actually quite a good goal. I know we scored tap-ins and stuff, but I actually scored quite a good goal at that point and thought, oh, this is good. This is where I want to be. This is going to be good for us.
Think that helped you settle in a lot quicker?
Yeah, definitely. Again, it was a different culture. It was a tough school down there. There was a lot of big characters in the dressing room who just slaughtered you, had wound you up, constantly on your back. But it's constantly moulding and creating the character that I was eventually going to be. So no, it was good. It was a good experience for me. And the manager down there at the time, Danny Wilson, was great. Really good.
What do you think the main differences are between England and Scotland in terms of football and the styles that are adapted in both countries?
It was 100 mile an hour down there. It really was. The quality was slightly better, not massively, not massive differences. But they take football, if this makes sense, they take football a lot more serious. They sleep, eat, breathe. Everything's to do with football. We're up here. Up in Scotland, there's very much, it's probably the same down there it was at one point, drinking culture, out after every game. But you can't do that as much down there because there's midweek games and you've got to focus on the next game. And when I went down there at first, it was looking at your core, your foam rolling, your ice baths and all that kind of stuff that was never in the game at that time when I went down. And obviously it's in the game now, your sports scientists and stuff like that, but that was an eye-opener for me and that helped me a lot. But growing up, I was so young and down there, so I opened my eyes to that. Gym work was so important and getting in a regular routine and just diet, everything. There was so many different factors put into it, whereas when I was at Falkirk starting out as a youth, it was basically go and play football, go and train, go and play, and then go on a night out, basically. So
Do you think down there, but would that still have been like maybe including cup games, 50, 60 games a season, aye?
Oh, aye, it was non-stop, and you're constantly just on the bus.
I was going to say, travelling that,
yeah,
a lot longer journeys compared to Scotland.
Yeah, you were going crazy journeys and you're staying overnight in all sorts of hotels, so you've got to kind of get used to your own company and enjoy your own company a bit better. And obviously that brings the club together, the squad together, and you're constantly going for team lunches, team dinners and mingling that way, and it brings a a better togetherness about the club, about the team.
And how much did you enjoy your time at Bristol City?
Yeah, I loved it. Obviously, the first season I was there, I was just unfortunate we get pipped at the post. Got to the playoff final and get beat 1-0. So that was gutting. And then obviously the manager changes, and as soon as that happens, you don't know what's going to happen yourself, and that's what unfortunately happened. But no, we had a cracking squad. We had a really good squad that should have. We just missed out in the automatic promotion, so it was gutting from that point of view.
So is that what happened then? Is that how the loan move to Hearts came about? The fact that new manager just kind of came in?
Yeah, his new manager comes in. They want their own players. You either fit or you don't. So the move to Hearts came about, and I jumped at the opportunity. Massive club. John Robertson showed a lot of faith in me, bringing me in, and I hit the ground running there, and it was a real purple patch in my career.
Scoring on the debut again?
Yeah, it was funny actually, because I came on, obviously, I think I scored maybe my second touch of the ball, maybe my first. And that way I hadn't been up in Scotland for a few years, and I'd never played it, Tynecastle, and I'd never been there before, never mind played. So I didn't know where the home fans and the away fans sat. So I scored into the away end and went away celebrating into the away fans, thinking... And then I initially obviously it was Dundee United fans, and then kind of wheeled away to the right hand side. So I was like, what am I doing, man?
Just trying to play it, just veer away.
I tried to play it cool, but no, I had a good relationship with the fans and that. And obviously, I was doing well. I was scoring goals and playing well, and it was a real good time. I look back on with fond memories about it.
Just on Tynecastle there, what's it like to play there in terms of the atmosphere? I think everybody always says because the fans are so close to the park and because they're almost hanging.
It's such a great atmosphere is created, because it's like, obviously the fans are right on top of you. There's a few of the games I've played in there, the atmosphere was incredible. It really was, and we had a relatively successful. I had a relatively successful time when I was there, and the club were doing well, and I was scoring goals. The team was doing well, but it was in that kind of transitional time where Romanov was taking over, and there was a lot of uncertainty. And every week we were having a trial match against a load of Lithuanian players who it just ended up arguments and fights and kicking lumps at each other, and it wasn't really that healthy, to be honest.
Did you ever have any conversations with Romanov? I think we've all heard the stories of what he was
like. No, I didn't actually. I didn't.
What was it like? Like you say there, the trial matches, that must have just been mental going into training, and that was going on against like loads of
it was strange, because obviously it was young boys coming over, trying to make a point, trying to better themselves, wanting in the club, and I can't remember how many there was, but there was quite a few, and they got quite heated. Because it's players coming over trying to take other players' positions. It was kind of more youth players that was playing, but at the end of the day, they want to play for Hearts, and that's what these boys were coming over trying to do. And don't get me wrong, there was a few players that came in and done really well. Michaelinas and players like that done excellent and were really good for us. It was maybe 3 or 4 when I was there, so. No, they did do well, but there was maybe a little bit too much of that.
And scored away at Parkhead as well, away to Celtic. How did you feel?
That was one of my best games in a football trip. It really was. I can remember the feeling I had getting into the game. It was a kind of young boys feeling, no fear at all, playing against Bobo Baldi. Didn't bother me one bit. I quite enjoyed playing against a bigger centre-half, because I knew I would beat him in there, but once I had beat him, I knew the next one I was getting a foul. So I would kind of lure him in, get a foul, get a team at the pitch, and that's where the kind of first goal came from, really. And no, I played with the shackles off completely when I was at Hearts, because John Robertson just set up, done a wee bit of shape, but said, listen, you just go out on the pitch, go and express yourselves and show us what you can do, final third. Go and work your magic, and I think it showed in a lot of games we played with Hearts. We just showed no fear, and we played with a freedom, if anything.
Is that the first time that you would have played in front of a crowd like an Ibrox or a Parkhead?
No, because the playoff final was in front of 70,000 at Millennium Stadium. But in terms of the atmosphere, it was incredible. The first time I played at Celtic Park, and I thought, this is unbelievable.
Proper.
Aye, it was class. Like, I don't know. I scored the first goal and wheeled away Gallus as anything right into the Celtic fans. And I think back, obviously being older and more mature, I think, what was I doing? Because I talk to people all the time that are Celtic fans. I've got friends that are Celtic fans, and it's like, obviously Rangers fans are delighted coming up to you and you're like, brilliant, big man, that. But you think, I don't know, you're just young and inexperienced and just enjoying kicking a ball about. It was a great feeling, it really was.
You seem to enjoy mugging fans off after you've scored against them, obviously, after the wee run-in with the Dundee United fans as well.
Yeah.
That's a mistake, was it?
Going through my career, I was always the kind of player fans would maybe have a go at, in terms of, I like to buy a foul. I knew what I was doing in terms of that. So players and fans would get annoyed with that, get frustrated. But ultimately, I'm trying to do the best for my team, And then if I scored against them, I was a boo boy. If I done so, that fueled my fire. I quite enjoyed it. I quite liked the whole banter between fans and players, and it's just followed me throughout my career.
So I just said earlier on, like that loan spell at Hearts was really successful for you personally. What was the plan for you after that then? Did you think you were going to go back down to Bristol City, or?
Well, no, I thought I'd have stayed at Hearts. I really did. But things just never happened there. John Robertson got sacked. There wasn't a manager in place. I got an offer, but it was like, you've got until this time to sign it. It's off the table. It wasn't what I was wanting. I wasn't wanting crazy money. I was just wanting a fair deal. So that was taken off, and Dundee United and Aberdeen were in talks and kind of fighting it out. But I don't think I was ever going to get back down to Bristol City. I was happy up here. I was being seen. I was being noticed. I was talked from a lot of different teams, and ultimately I ended up going to Dundee United, where I knew the manager, Gordon Chisholm. We were in Europe. I knew a few of the players. So no, I went there, and it wasn't a great spell. Sometimes things don't click, albeit scoring the first game against Aberdeen, and it's surreal because I think back to it. My last game with Hearts was away to Aberdeen. And it had been talk about me signing with Aberdeen and stuff, and I come off. I think we were getting beat at the time, and I come off near the end of the game, and Aberdeen fans were actually singing "There's Only One Lee Miller" because they thought I was going to Aberdeen. I thought, this is incredible, man. This is like, the atmosphere was unreal, and the fans were. But I knew I had a kind of deep down. I had that. I want to play in Europe. I knew the manager. Who knows if it was the right decision, but ultimately I ended up going to Aberdeen and loved my time.
This record of scoring on debuts is outrageous. Like, I couldn't believe it.
I know, I don't really think about it. I don't know, I've been lucky with it, I suppose.
No, you can't put it down to luck. That's so hard.
It is though, but most of football is luck.
You think?
Aye, definitely. You need to obviously have ability and have confidence and know the game and stuff, but the rest of you, that ball can take bounces all over the place, and at the end of the day, it's a lot of it, percentage-wise, is to do with luck.
And then when you were at United, you ended up getting your first Scotland cap as well at the Current Cup.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong, I was probably second, third, I don't know, choice. A few call-offs, and I was eager to go. I loved my time away with the Scotland squads. And for all it was, I was training every day with the best players in Scotland. I was carrying all the bags, hamper boy. It didn't bother me one bit, so I was away enjoying picking the best players in Scotland's brains, like Sir David Weir, Barry Ferguson, Dan Fletcher, these kind of players that out with that Scottish I wouldn't get to have that contact with and kind of play with, and my game took on from there completely, and it was great to just be involved in the squads and to be thought of.
What was it like going away with all those players to Japan? Like, it's such an obscure location to be going away with a team, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. No, it was an incredible place, incredible streets ahead of us in terms of technology, and the people over there were just couldn't be any nicer. I remember it was probably the second time I went to the Kilmarnock Cup, and it was myself and Craig Conway, and there was a group of fans used to just follow us. Everybody had them. Everybody had their wee groupies or whatever. But there was these maybe 4 or 5 Japanese, and they were Lee, Craig, and I'm like, or it was Mr. Lee, Mr. Craig, and it was like, I'm playing with Dundee United. I'm like, I'm not well known. I'm not this kind of bit. Your Rangers, Celtic, yeah, perfect. But Conway and I were like, yeah, man, here, have they got the right players here? Because we're not. It was funny. It was just surreal when they couldn't do anything. They'd done everything for you. They couldn't have been any nicer to us.
He's managed to get any nights out in Japan?
I can't remember.
No?
We did, but I can't remember anything about it.
I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
It's a good thing.
That's a good thing. You ended up winning it as well. What was that like?
Yeah, it was great. It was. I don't get me wrong, I didn't play a lot of the games. I think I maybe get 10, 15 minutes, if that, in one of the games. But just to be there and to soak in the atmosphere and rub shoulders with these boys was brilliant for me, experience-wise, and it just made me hungry for more.
You touched on that a wee bit earlier, but see when you go there and you see the standard of all these players, like top players, do you think you took that back to your club level at Dundee United? Setting the standard every day and trying to lift your own standard?
Lift my own standard, yeah, but I had good pros there. I had Mark Kerr, I had Alan Archibald, I had Dale McInnes, Jim McIntyre, all these guys that are top pros who wouldn't let it drop. You know, so I didn't need to do that. I already had that from there. So no, it lifted me. It obviously gave me that confidence boost to try and play a bit better, try to work a bit harder, work in different parts of my game that I knew I needed to work on. So no, it benefited me massively.
Kind of gave you the urge to get back involved in other squads as well after that cup, surely.
Yeah, 100%. And the fact that I was being thought of for these squads was just spurred me on to try and get in more squads in the future.
So then you leave Dundee United and the move to Aberdeen finally happens. How did that come about?
It was, things weren't working out at Dundee United. Myself, Craig Brewster, it just wasn't happening. We kind of clashed on a few occasions, and it was time for me to move on. And Aberdeen come up, and it was lastminute.com. It was very much last day of the transfer window, driving up to Pittodrie. I'd never drove up to Pittodrie. I didn't even know what it was in terms of location-wise to get to it or anything. I'd never been up. I'd obviously just had the bus up there when I played against them. So, and Jimmy Calderwood wasn't even there. It was, I can't even remember who was there. But he was on the phone. He was in Magaluf. He went to Magaluf every summer. So he was on the phone, right, big man, how are you doing? You're brilliant, excellent. It is. I had a great time up there with Jimmy. The two Jimmys, they were excellent. They were really, really good. And it was, I didn't actually realise how big a club it was until I went there. I knew it was a big club. I knew it had a lot of rivalries with Rangers, Celtic, Dundee United. The game that I played for my debut, Dundee United against Aberdeen, couldn't believe the fans at Tannadice. It was packed, and there was probably more Aberdeen fans there than Dundee United fans. So no, it was a massive club, and I loved my time up there. I really did. The people, everything about it.
Why do you think the Aberdeen move kind of always followed you about, but it never quite happened before then until you eventually signed for them?
I don't know. I'd always been kind of linked with Rangers as well throughout my career. It never quite happened, but I just think some of these things just follow you around. And no, I was lucky enough to be playing some good football at the time, and I think Jimmy knew what I was all about. He'd done his research on us, and no, I went up there and loved it. Hit the ground running as well in terms of performances. I never scored my debut at that point, but
I was gutted with that.
It took me a few games to get into my stride in terms of goals, but once the one went in, then it just kind of kicked on from there.
So a really successful season for Aberdeen as a club, though, finishing third. I think for the first time in maybe around about 10 years, maybe slightly less, which is still a big achievement.
Yeah, huge. That was obviously the goal for us to try and get in Europe, and you see the games that we played in after that in Europe was a fantastic run for us and experience for us. It was brilliant to be involved in. The players we had there were Barry Nicky, Jamie Langfield, Scott Severn, Russell Anderson. You get through Michael Hart. It was an incredible side, really experienced with the youth, Dan Mackey, myself, Stevie Lovell, through the full team, Jamie Smith, real bags of experience and quality as well. And we did a crazy run. So we did play against some massive teams. So it was enjoyable times.
I was going to say that it wasn't like it wasn't an easy group at all. Like it was an unbelievable group. And you're sitting thinking, no disrespect, but you're like, how has any Scottish team actually got through there?
Oh, aye, definitely. But the games we play, it was just, we just stuck to our guns and done what we had to do, and we just scraped through with a cracking result against Copenhagen at home, and it was made for us to get through and have that tie with Bayern Munich end up.
Do you think all that experience in the team helped you in games like that?
Definitely, aye, because we young boys, Chris Maguire, Sonny Aluko, Josh Walker coming through, and these boys knew how to deal with them. They knew how to kind of put them on the path, and they were tremendous for us. The 2 goals that the boys scored, Sonny and Josh, were incredible in the game against Bayern Munich at home. We probably should have won that, looking back at it. That kind of dodgy penalty, and we played really well. And then went over there and get scudded 5-1. But the whole experience of it was priceless.
Just on that, what was the reaction when you drew Aberdeen? When you drew Bayern Munich? Sorry,
buzzing, absolutely buzzing. To mix it against some of the best players in the world, you don't often get a chance of doing that. Maybe in a pre-season friendly now and again, but to do it in a competitive tournament, and we earned the right to get through. So we wanted the big boys. We didn't want that kind of so-called smaller team. We wanted the big one. You want the big glamour tie, don't you?
Do you think you shocked them in that first leg?
Definitely, 100%. It's a cold night up in Pittodrie. These superstars didn't know what to expect. They came over here and we gave them a right good game. We played our game, took our game to them, and they didn't like it. The hustle bustle and the tackles flying in, headers, all that kind of stuff. It was good. It was good to just mix up with them.
And what was Pittodrie like that night? It must have been absolutely bouncing.
Oh, it was between that and the Copenhagen game, because obviously nobody expects us to beat Copenhagen comfortably. It was a mad 20 minutes, half an hour where Jamie Smith scores a few, and it was such a great atmosphere. And then taking that into the Bayern Munich game these are nights you'll never ever forget. The fans as well.
And what was it like going over to Munich to play them again? Second leg.
An experience, real experience. It was the noise, and even playing against Atletico Madrid and that, the noise is different. See when they score a goal, it's just completely different, and it's like wow. But I loved the night before the game, because you got to obviously train in the stadium. So looking around these stadiums on the surfaces, their carpets, ice rinks, you're zipping the ball about. I loved the buzz about the place, getting ready for the game the next night.
No, it was unbelievable. And I know, like you say, you got beat heavily second leg, but at that point, I mean,
listen, we get scudded and we were cannonballing into the swimming pool. It was like a swimming pool, basically, like a full-on changing room bath, but it was like a swimming pool. So Jimmy Calder was like, "Listen, lads, you've done well, blah blah." I'm looking at, and we were just cannonballing into the pool afterwards, because we were never expected to beat them. They were a class outfit, but we took away from it the whole experience and rubbing shoulders with best players in the world.
Did you manage to get any of their shirts that night? Are you one for?
I got the big Brazilian defender, Lucio. I got his shirt. So no, I quite enjoyed playing against him, because he was very arrogant and wanted it his own way. And obviously the way I play, I'm in about you, I'm buying fouls, I'm knocking you over, and he didn't like it. And I like to kind of ruffle up players that don't really like it, to see what the reaction is. And it was a class act on the ball, and that it was great, but kind of threw him about a wee bit, which I was quite chuffed with. Him and Dean McKeely.
In the back pocket, aye.
Maybe. I'm in Di Michele's. Two of them, I've taken care of them. But no, it was good. It was a great experience.
So you had a good season as well that year, finishing top scorer for Aberdeen.
Mm-hmm.
What was the reaction after that? Just buzzing?
Just delighted, because I've not been known for being a prolific goal scorer. So, but things sometimes just click with players and teams, and we just gelled that year. We really did, and our recruitment was really good, and we had experience as well as the youth, and we used our squad wisely. Yeah.
And you scored against Rangers, the winner against Rangers that year as well. What was that rivalry like? You kind of touched on it earlier.
I couldn't believe the atmosphere, the hatred between two clubs. A huge fixture. I didn't realise that how big it was. But obviously, there's a lot of history that goes behind it to back it up. But those games were feisty, but ones that I thrived on. I enjoyed playing in and like to mix it up. And no, that I seem to come out in the winning team quite often in that fixture, which was great.
Did you ever experience a rivalry like that before?
No, I don't think. No, well, Dundee United Aberdeen was pretty. In fact, the Edinburgh derby as well, that was ferocious. I scored a few in that, which was good. I was shushing the Hibs fans up as well, again, enticing the fans. I don't know, it just follows me places. It just, when you score a goal, something comes over you. You're not in control of your body at the time, and just emotions run high, and that's what kind of happens. And no, I've just enjoyed scoring goals. That's what it is.
Now a couple of Scotland caps as well at Aberdeen, including Diego Maradona's first game as manager against Argentina.
Yeah, again, I was back up. Boys pulled out, and I was more than happy to go and fill the boots. And I managed to get a full second half in a game that was kind of iconic. It was Maradona's first ever game in charge Argentina. It was great. It was really good against Di Michele's again. So, and there was Sergio Aguero, I think, played. Tevez played. Mascherano. So it was full of top players. It was a great experience for myself and a few others who were kind of drafted in as well. It was good.
And that, just a wee while after that, you ended up leaving Aberdeen. How did it come about that you were going to be leaving?
It was pretty kind of all of a sudden, to be honest. There was interest at the start of that season from Middlesbrough, from Gareth Southgate. I don't know if it was true or anything, but there was talk. And then it just came out of the blue, and next minute I know I'm flying down to Middlesbrough to look about their training ground, their stadium, and it was an incredible place. I thought it blew me away. So it was a no-brainer. I loved my time at Aberdeen, everything about it, but to go and play at a club like Middlesbrough was too difficult to turn down.
Did you see that as you wanted another crack at England?
Yeah, and we're obviously in the Championship, and Gordon Strachan was recruiting boys that were really hungry for it, and had played in competitive games up in Scotland and could handle the pressure kind of thing. So no, I was buzzing to go down, and things never really worked out the way I thought they would. I never really got as much of an opportunity as I thought I would, but I couldn't have turned it down. It was one of those things I'd look back on. If I never done it, I'd be gutted and raging.
You've got to just go for it if a club like that comes about. It's a big club, Middlesbrough.
Yeah, exactly. They were signing big players as well, which was great. And down there, and rubbing shoulders with them was, again, another experience for myself.
A couple of loan moves, Notts County and Scunthorpe before signing for Carlisle. How did it come about that you were going to be leaving the Borough permanently? Just,
I never had the game opportunity that I thought I would have. I wanted to play games, that's what you're there to do, and it was demoralising in terms of training all week, training really hard, being told you're training really hard and doing well, and not getting that game time. So there's nothing, you speak to any footballer, you just want to play games, you want to feel part of something, and I didn't really feel part of it, so it was time for me to move on. And Tony Mowbray, who came in, was honest with us and said, listen, if you get a chance to go, then go, but you need to be playing games and stuff. I'm going to go in a different direction in terms of I'm going with a big target man kind of thing. So that was fine. Went out a couple of loan spells, done okay, kept my fitness up, and then ended up at Carlisle, which had a great time at Carlisle, really good, hit the ground running again.
Did you see that as maybe time for a fresh start, Carlisle? A good time for a fresh start?
There was a lot of things happening behind the scenes with myself in terms of trying to get back up the road, and it meant I could move to Scotland and travel to Carlisle from where I was from, and it was good. There were Scottish boys there, and we had a really strong squad at the time who were challenging.
And how much did you enjoy your time there?
Loved it. Loved the first few seasons, and then started getting injuries. I'm pretty positive we would have at least get into the playoffs anyway the first season, and I missed the last 4 or 5 games where I had to get a hernia operation, and that was the start of when injuries hit. Because I was lucky throughout my career, my younger years, I never really had a major injury, if anything, and then that kind of hit and it kind of scuppered me a good bit.
Back up the road to Killie, what made you want to come back to Scotland again?
Again, it was just getting back up the road. The opportunity came about. Big club Killie, I was always done quite well against Kilmarnock. So no, it was just good to get back up the road and get into the Premiership. And I was looking forward to the season, and then kind of niggly injuries took its toll again. I was never quite fully fit when I was at Kilmarnock, which was disappointing.
Do you think that's what kind of made you move on back to Falkirk? Those injuries just kept kind of niggling away.
Yeah, I wasn't fully. I don't think I was fully fit at all. I just couldn't get a run of games, a run of training where I was fully fit. I had wee niggles that were just hampering me, and it was gutting because I felt I'd still a lot to give, and we had a really good squad at Kilmarnock as well, and it was gutting.
And at Falkirk, when you went back there, they had a brilliant team around that point, but they always just kind of seemed to be the team that fell short at the final hurdle. Do you think that'd be fair to say?
Yeah, 100%. 100%. We had a great team. Peter Houston was an incredible manager as well. I've got so much time from him. I still speak to him now, and I learnt a lot from Peter Houston and his backroom staff. And no, we had a great team. We had good experience. We had Cracks, Dave McCracken, we had Kerzo, Beardy, a lot of good players. And like you say, we just fell short, ironically, against Kilmarnock in the last game. We felt that it's hard. It's so difficult for the Championship team going up in terms of the amount of games. It takes its toll on your squad. There's boys carrying injuries, niggly injuries getting into it, and nobody's fully fit. And we won the first leg 1-0, and we felt really confident, really strong, but we had niggly injuries getting into it. So you're like, have we got enough to get across the line here? And ultimately we didn't.
Were you surprised just how much Killie probably improved for that first leg, or no really?
No, because I knew most of the players. I knew what they were capable of, but I also knew what we were capable of. But we just ran out of steam. They caught us first 10 minutes, they blew us away, and it was like that was us done. And it was absolutely gutting because we took an incredible travelling support with us. The fans were incredible that day, really good.
You touched on him earlier. What was Peter Houston like to work under every day?
It was great. He was just honest, and he treated the older boys with the respect that they deserved, and kept us in the loop with everything, and asked for their opinion on things. And he was so honest. He was so honest that he actually dropped me the game after I scored the hat trick, and I'd never think, you scored a hat trick, you play the next game, no.
Surely. But
he pulled me in. Actually, I scored a hat trick against Fraserburgh in the cup, thinking, get into Hibs away, big game, I'm on this, I'm playing well, I'm doing well, I'm scoring goals. And he pulled me in a couple of days before the game, said, listen, you're not going to like this, but I'm going to tell you how it is. You're not playing Saturday, but you will make an impact. You will win us a game. And I was like, I just scored the hat trick, but it was. I think it was Kevin O'Hara's first start, and it was basically tactically genius. Kev would run about, he would chase everything, sprint, fast, fit, tired them out, ack him on, win the fight. I think that's the game I scored. We ended up we either drew or won the game, but it was just everything about it was done the right way, and it's done the way I would do it as a manager in terms of keeping everybody in the loop, being honest and up front, and it worked. On the Saturday, it worked. Kev ran them ragged, was unlucky not to score. I come on, get the goal, up the road. And that was it. It was like, and that made me think about the whole coaching side, the whole man management side of it, and how good it was to be honest and up front and just basically, this is how it is.
Sorry to interrupt you there. So man management probably one of the biggest aspects in management.
Yeah, 100%, because there's so many different characters that you need to treat differently. Everybody's different. You need to treat a person individually. Collectively, you need to treat them all with respect, but there's others you can say. There's so many different characters there. You need to speak to everybody differently. Some you can pull in, some you can hammer in front of the group, some you can't. And it's learning about each individual player as a person, not just a player. That's the biggest thing I took from Peter Houston. I took that into my management as well, which was it was priceless doing that. It was really, really good for me and beneficial.
What was it like to play in the Championship that year as well, with Rangers, Hibs, all in it? It must have been madness.
It was competitive, and we were always getting into these games underdogs, and we quite liked being underdogs. We managed to do well in it, and I think we played a brand of football, a type of football that some teams couldn't live with the likes of Miles Hippolyte, with Will Vokes, who's went on to do big things, Craig Sibbald, all these players who are flourishing now. They were just kind of not starting out, but making themselves known, and they're big names in the game now. So it's great to look back on with fond memories about it.
So always had a proper go at the other teams as well. It was always an attacking brand of football. Do you think that maybe surprised teams like Hibs and Rangers?
Yeah, because we played with no fear. We knew what we were good at. We just went out and expressed ourselves with our freedom, getting that final third, go and play. And I think that worked to our strengths.
So you ended up signing for Livingston. How did it come about that you were going to be leaving Falkirk? I think it kind of came as a shock at the time.
Yeah, it was a strange time in my career, just with everything that happened with Paul Hartley and different things. And I'm not getting into it too much, but no love was lost between the two, to say the least. But no, I was gutted to leave Falkirk in the way I did, and I get amazing support from the fans, even going back there as a Livingston player in the Cup. But no, it couldn't have worked out any better for me in terms of personally. Going to Livingston and end up getting up through the playoffs was an incredible achievement from a team that David Hopkin and David Martindale had produced, and just real, honest, hard-working players who deserve a chance at the big time.
What do you think enticed you to Livingston? Obviously, we were having a good season in the playoffs, but is that basically what dragged you to there, or was there something more than that?
Yeah, just having spoke to David Martindale and David Hopkin and how much they wanted me there. A player needs to be wanted. And he spoke about his vision for the club and what he wanted to do and how he wanted to do it, and it excited me, everything about it. And then I signed, and then Ryan Hardy signs right after me. Jordan Thompson signs, and it's and getting into training was like real quality. And I think the spine of our team, the heartbeat of our team was your Craig Halkett's, your Declan Gallagher's, all these players, Alan Lithgow, who are solid performers and massive characters who just drive the team forward.
How much do you think you and Ryan Hardy complemented each other?
Oh, I love my partnership with Ryan. Loved it. And I'm not, you'll say it as well, I'll take the hits. I'll take the hits all day long for the Greyhounds running through and scoring.
Basically, you flicking it on, him in behind. It was so simple, but
old school, simple football. Get the ball as far away from your goal. When you're in the final third, go and play, because you've got the players to go and play. And that's what we done. And teams didn't like it. We played ugly, but we could play. We could still play. See, we're in that final third with the players to play there. Keegan Jacobs, your Pittman, so they're all doing great for themselves, Josh Mullen putting balls in for fun. And that's a striker's dream.
Kind of get you on and talk about your overhead kick goal against St Mirren. Talk me through that.
I think I was my only goal actually. No, I scored 2 that season. No, I've scored a few overhead kicks in my career by the way. That wasn't the first. No, it just sat brilliant for us. I think it was Rafa that headed it back across, and it sat great for us. And obviously, I was delighted to get the connection and score that goal. And it was credit to the boys. We were 1-0 down against the league leaders. We came back and won the game. So no, it was a great squad to be involved in.
And just on that, I seen a couple of years ago you've spoke about David Hopkins' team talk before that day. So I'm being told this is an exclusive. You're going to tell the story about how good this team was.
I'll tell it to some sort of degree. No, it was just I was told when I got there. I was told, listen, the manager sometimes goes off, and when it's like a comedy stand-up, basically, just goes off. And I can only think, from a manager's head point of view, it's to basically take everything away from the players, all the nerves, because they're thinking about this story he's telling. He's told it basically him growing up they grew up in Greenock. Was it Greenock or was it
Port Glasgow? I think it is.
Port Glasgow, sorry. Growing up in Port Glasgow, boy had nothing, basically went in, played with the teeth coming out and all that. And during these team talks, I've been told about this, he's running about, he's headed things, and boys are sitting there like, what's going on here? This is mine, I think it was mine, Ryan Hardy's first team talk like this that we'd experienced, and 2 of us are sitting, what's going on here, man? What's going on? He's jumping about, and he actually went into the toilets and put on his old Morton strip. So he played in Morton at the time, and it was a big, massive, knitted thing, and he's, rush and get it. And it's like, whoa. And he was just talking about how he went down he had a chance to go down to Chelsea with Dale McInnes and go down and have a trial down there, and they played against a wee guy who was left back, and I thought, he was just getting right into it and just like saying everything. I was getting into him, he wasn't getting a touch of the ball. As soon as he got the ball, I was layering him. It turned out to be Graham Lasso. So you're like rubbing shoulders with these type of players down there, and he was going down. Dale McInnes was going down with his Louis Vuitton bag, toilet bag, pristine, looking really good, all tanned, and he's obviously going down, big ginger, scruffy looking guy with his Asda bag with his toiletries in it. So it just, everything about it just calmed everybody, and we're just laughing and joking because we weren't thinking about the game. And I think that was the plan of these team talks. They were just taking away all the nerves to just relax the boys and go out and play. And it worked. We went and absolutely blew St Mirren away and played some great football. So, but it was only an odd occasion he would do it. He wouldn't do it every time. He would just come out with this and that. I was headbutting shutters, and it was to anybody, a fan or anything like looking in, you think, nah. But you could hear it all the way down the corridor. The boys laughing, roaring, laughter and all that. And they must have been thinking, what kind of team talk's that? So no, it was good. It was a totally different style I'd never came across before, but it worked. I don't know if he's still doing it now. Who knows? You need to ask him yourself. But it really worked.
And at what point did you start thinking that Livy could get promoted?
We always had a quiet confidence about ourselves. We believed in what we were doing, everything about it. We were playing some great stuff, but I knew from being in the playoffs how difficult it was from the championship team to try and get up. But I was on the boys constantly saying, I ain't getting beat. Get up, this is my 3rd time lucky, this is it for me. And I think, I'm not saying I was the one that but it rubbed off on the players, definitely. I'm not saying I'm the one that got us, but that's not the case. But a lot of things went against us in the run-up to the kind of final. We lost Rafa, we lost Ryan Hardy, we lost some key players, and everybody just mucked together, and it was what it was. It was great. The games were incredible to play. The fans we had at Tony Macaroni the place was bouncing.
It was crazy. Like that. People walking across the pitch trying to get to their seat in that 10 minutes into kick-off.
We've kicked off and there's boys coming round the track side, and it's like, what's going on here? It was a surreal experience, it really was.
How big an advantage do you think it is in the playoffs finishing second?
Massive. massive. Because you've got 2 games less, you can rest up, you can get the players back. You need to do that to get promoted. It's so difficult otherwise.
Do you think it's as simple as you need to do that, or it's well?
Definitely, aye. Yep.
What was it like at Firhill when you get promoted against all odds?
I was walking wounded. I had black eyes, stitches. I couldn't walk properly. I think I'd kind of broke one of the bones in my foot and that, but I wasn't giving up. I was flat out. I can remember near the end of all the playoff games, I was decked. I couldn't walk the next day. Couldn't walk, but I was never missing them. Just loved everything about them. And just for Keegan to score the goals that got us up it was great for everything about it. His testimonial year and stuff like that. It was great. Really good.
You got absolutely leathered every single game. I think that black eye just kept getting worse and worse.
I loved it though. I absolutely loved it. And I think that's what I've done over the years. You need somebody to put in. All the other players were like that. They put their head in where it hurts. And that's just what we've done. We fought for each other. We dug each other out. And when somebody was struggling, the other one would back them up. And it was a real team performance that got us up.
Thinking that season that Livy were promoted, you think injuries again kind of went against you?
Sorry, say that again.
Do you think injuries again kind of went against you in the Premiership when Livy were promoted?
All season, aye. Yeah. I think it was the second game in against Motherwell. I'd done my knee and I'd never had problems with my knee. Done my knee, didn't think it was as bad as it was. It turned out it was. It was I partially tore my PCL and then trying to get back for that. Eventually get back for that and then tore my calf. And then it was just continuous. And I never missed a day in the gym or that. I was absolutely massive. I just couldn't run. But no, it was gutting because I obviously wanted to play as much as I could in the Premiership and believed I was still good enough and strong enough to do that and cause problems, but it just wasn't to be. It was one of those things, and it wasn't my season. And
you ended up leaving Livingston a wee bit after that, back to Falkirk again. What made you want to go back there?
Yeah, well, that I wouldn't have went anywhere else to management, but that came up out the blue. I couldn't turn it down. The amount of injuries I'd had, I was just literally coming back. If it was anybody else, I would have stayed there. I had a good contract, had a good relationship with Davey and everybody else at the club, and I felt I would get myself back fit and get back in the team. But that came up, and it was everything about it in terms of history with myself and Falkirk and that kind of thing. It was a great opportunity for myself to go and try and create a career as a manager.
What is it about Falkirk that constantly pulls you back there?
I don't know. I started off my career there. I've had a few spells there. I've got a good relationship with the fans. I know the club inside out, and it was a no-brainer. It was obviously a lot to kind of leave and to give up for that. So no, I just felt it was what I had to do and what I wanted to do.
Do you feel as if it was too good an opportunity to turn down being part of the management squad as well?
Yeah, exactly. And I felt we had a great squad. We had a good team with me and Cracks and backroom staff that helped us out. And we were just, it was one of those things, we were so unlucky. The first season, we obviously miss out with a point, and then COVID hits, and then you get a stop-start season, you get your own players in, get injury, suspension. It's so difficult. The world we're living in just now is a hard place to be.
See, with the co-manager situation, how were the roles between you two kind of split up?
Do you know what? We never really spoke about it as such. It just happened. It just worked. There was times where I would come in and lose the plot. I'd be bad cop, he'd be good cop, and there was other times Cracks should be bad cop, I'd be good. But it was never spoken about. It was never like, you shout at them, I'll be the one that kind of calms things in. It just happened. It just worked. And there's players I had better relationships with. There's players David had better relationships with, and it just we just fed off each other, and like the decision making and stuff. We had the same beliefs, with the same ideas. So we had a good backroom staff as well. Graham Henderson and Jacko, the goalkeeping coach, and we had them to bounce ideas off and stuff. So no, it was great. I loved my time. I absolutely loved it.
I take it the main goal was just to get Falkirk back to the Championship and just build for there, basically. But
be part of that and hopefully get Falkirk where they deserve to be in the Premiership. They've got everything in place and the fan base and everything about it, but it just wasn't to be.
Probably got, like you say, unlucky with COVID as well. Probably coming at the wrong time.
Yeah, definitely. You never know what could have happened. That first season with Raith Rovers, we're toe-to-toe with them. We started playing them with 7 games to go and they're a point above us and boom, it's just done like that. So it happens. That happens. You just move on from that.
It's one of those things. It's just been a mental year, like you say. Just with COVID basically disrupted everything.
Exactly.
So then you ended up leaving Falkirk on East Kilbride back playing. What made you want to get the boots back on?
I don't know. I just
a wee bit of Falkirk.
I played a wee bit of Falkirk and kind of trained as a part-time player. I kind of train every single day, so it was just in and out of training and stuff. But still having niggle injuries. But I just felt good about myself and felt East Kilbride I want to do something. It's a club on the up. They're real ambitious and everything about the place is just friendly people, a good environment, and I'm really enjoying it. Really enjoying it. It's a different, obviously, going from manager, co-manager, player to just player, and focusing on that is totally different. And it's good. The manager will ask my opinion. Obviously, being an experienced player, we've got a few experienced players in there, so it's good, and I've got a good relationship with them, and it's going well. I just need to shake off this wee niggle injury that I've got now to get back in.
Was it their ambition that kind of dragged you towards there and convinced you to get back playing all the time again? Yeah,
it's a club that's on the up, but wants to do things properly and doing things and going in the right direction. We're a club with real ambition, and everybody that's to do with the club are really nice. They couldn't do enough for you, and I just liked everything about it. The vibe about the place was great.
What's your own personal ambitions for this season at East Kilbride?
Just to get the club promoted. That's the sole objective, and do as much as I can to help with that, with the cause. So that's it. Play as many games as I can, score as many goals, set up as many goals as I can, and do my best for them.
If it's all right with you, we'll finish off on the wee quick fire question round. Is that all right?
Yeah, go for it. Aye.
Right. So your favourite goal?
Favourite goal is probably at Hearts against Kilmarnock. Well, it's my best goal. Crossbar and in volley for about 20 odd yards. Anybody that knows me, I don't score many for outside the box, so it was good for that to go in, and it was just my brother and dad were there at the time as well. So it was good from that point of view. It was one of my best goals.
Best player you've played against?
That's a hard one. Up against, like directly against a centre half, like Sir Lucio, Bobo Baldi, David Weir, even players that were really difficult to play against, but I enjoyed playing against, and kind of sometimes get the better of as well, which was good. But in terms of player, it's Sergio Aguero. Was his movement. I played against him when I played against Atletico Madrid, and just to watch his movement and his touch, his awareness, and he was a joy to watch.
Could you tell then that he was going to kick on and be the player that he is now?
Yeah. It was class acting.
Favourite stadium you've played
in? Favourite stadium? Well, Bayern Munich stadium was phenomenal. But old school Brockville, it couldn't be that jam packed against Hearts in the cup that day. Was the atmosphere. You'd have thought there was 80,000 in the stadium. It was class, and the fact that we were doing well and we won the game was great.
Most embarrassing moment in football?
Embarrassing. So I obviously had a kind of love-hate relationship with the fans at Dundee United. But when I was at Aberdeen, I was on the bench and I was getting slaughtered, absolutely caned. And so at half-time, when warming up, getting abuse. And I never dropped my shots. I kind of lowered them a wee bit so you could see my bum crack. And I jumped up for a header and obviously flashed my bum a wee bit. right? Which isn't a full-blown Mooney, but somebody actually complained about it, and I get pulled up after the game saying what you did, and I thought I was just a young boy being silly. They're giving me dog's abuse, and I'm just saying, oh, fuck this, man. Put them through a wee bit and just had a wee bit of laugh with them, and then ended up getting reported and stuff, and I was like, come on, man, a wee bit of banter. But that's probably embarrassing, I'd say.
That's not a bad one to go for, to be fair. The biggest moaner you've played with?
Biggest moaner? There's been a few. Obviously, I was only in I wasn't in a lot of Scotland squads. I was in a good few, but Barry Ferguson was up there. But just his standards were there, and everybody had to get close to it. But in terms of club football, Stephen Presley was, but it brought out the best in you because you didn't want to let him down. He was constant, you've got to hold that ball, you've got to do this, you've got to do that. And it was like, right, man. But he was just constantly moaning, training, games, everything, just moaning constantly.
Best mate in football?
Best mate in football? You get a lot of mates and you have a lot of different teams. I still speak to a good few of them, Mark Kerr, Charlie McGrew, a good few others, but I wouldn't say I've got a best mate. Rory Lloyd, John Paul McGovern, all these boys that I still speak to. I still speak to a lot of the Livingston boys as well. Your Sibs, Josh Mullen, Keegs. So I wouldn't say I've got a best out and out mate. I just keep myself to myself.
Biggest achievement in football?
Biggest achievement? Obviously winning the league with Falkirk my second season was class, but in terms of really appreciating it and stuff, was the Livingston achievement was up there. Just for the fact that we were such underdogs, getting into every game, to do what we done and get the club promoted, it was part of history basically. So no, that was a massive achievement for myself.
And a fives team of the best players you've played with, and why?
Did I get in that team? No.
You chuck yourself in if you want.
Right, I'll go up front then. Right, okay. God, man, there's so many. Kevin McAllister would have been there. Crunchy. Falkirk, he'd be a tricky winger in there. Mark Kerr would have to be in there. Midfielder. Goalkeeper. Liam Kelly's got to be up there. Played with Craig Gordon. Alan Ferguson. I'd say Craig Gordon in his time was phenomenal. He been goals. That's a hard question, man. Five-a-side team, though, you've got to be somebody that's scoring goals. John Baird, Owen Coyle, score goals for fun. One of them is a goal scorer. Sean Byrne, creating midfielder. I've given you about 10 players there, haven't I, really?
This is 11 asides, man.
Something we need to chop and change. You know, they're all getting a lot older, so maybe we need to chop and change them. Hard question, man. Hard question, that.
I think that's a good question.
It is, but it's difficult, man. I played with so many different teams, man. So, Sonny Aluko. There's loads, man. I need a defender in there, really, don't I?
Yeah, you need a defender.
Big Charlie McGrew in there.
McGrew.
Defender, aye. So I'll give you about 10 names because you pick the best ones.
I'll draw up a wee team tonight, mate. See what you get with. But no, thanks a lot, Lee, top man. Thanks for coming on.
Nah, no problem. No problem at all.